Hello, friends. This is Professor Googlon. On my channel, you mostly watch videos about the beautiful world around us. But today, it's a little different. What is it about? Keep watching to find out. Pontiac Silverdome Stadium. When the authorities of Detroit decided to demolish the old Pontiac Silverdome Stadium, the stadium was not pleased about it. Despite the initial explosions, Silverdome remained standing. It seems like it didn't want to leave so easily on that frosty morning. And the TV presenters were not prepared for such a disappointing explosion. This building was supposed to fall. But the structure is still standing. Only on the next day, the second set of charges managed to complete the task. Tower Warehouse. This outdated tower warehouse in Redbank, Australia, refused to go down without a fight. The 110-kilogram explosive charge didn't destroy the structure, it just tilted it. The building stood in a leaning position for 40 minutes until jackhammers weakened the foundation and helped the workers finish the job. Dry cleaning. The emergency demolition team in Baltimore, USA, was assigned to bring down a leaning dry cleaning building after the city authorities declared it unsafe due to extensive cracks on its walls. The footage of their work ended up on YouTube. As we can see, things didn't go quite as planned. Residents from nearby houses gathered to watch the team and excavators in action. Everything seemed fine until one movement of the excavator caused the walls of the second floor to collapse. All the spectators were simply shocked. Zip feed tower. When the builders decided to demolish the zip feed tower, it simply folded and fell onto its foundation, freezing in that position. Therefore, the workers had to resort to more traditional means of demolition. Unknown tower. We couldn't find any information about this building demolition. All we know is that it happened in Russia. If you have any details about it, please write in the comments. Spectators who witnessed the demolition thought it was amusing. However, many were disappointed that it didn't turn out exactly as planned. 16-story building. This is a vivid example of how a building demolition can go off plan. Builders demolished this 16-story unfinished building in Sevastopol, Russia, which was constructed illegally. However, the building didn't collapse but only tilted. The team of workers had to reinstall explosive charges. The demolition specialists blamed the local residents for the mishap. Since the building was located close to residential homes, the workers couldn't use as much explosives as they wanted due to the fear of causing hearing damage to the locals. Leaning tower in Dallas. The stubborn structure stood leaning for several days after the initial attempt to demolish it failed. But eventually, the tower was brought down. The building earned the nickname, Leaning Tower of Dallas. Everything was supposed to happen this way. On Sunday, the builders detonated the building in the suburb, but one part of it just leaned and didn't fall. It took the workers 15 days to find a solution to this situation. They decided to use smaller charges to bring down the stubborn structure. Finally, the 11-story building turned into ruins. Old flour mill. This building demolition in Turkey turned into a real fiasco. Instead of collapsing, the old flour mill somersaulted forward and ended up dangerously close to residential homes. Luckily, it came to a stop in the right place, and no one was injured. Power plant, turbine hall. The towers of this power plant refused to fall after the charges set at their base were detonated. See for yourself. Yes, it didn't work as planned. Old silo pit. The demolition of this silo pit in Denmark took a bad turn when the building didn't just fall in the intended direction but fell in the opposite direction. Unfortunately, a local cultural center was damaged. Fortunately, there was no one inside the center at that moment. Power plant. During the preparation for the demolition of the power plant tower in Ohio, the workers forgot to cut the reinforcement along the base of the tower. After the explosion, the tower fell in the wrong direction and severed the power lines. No one was injured, but thousands of people were left without electricity. The owners of the power plant later filed a lawsuit against the workers for their negligence in the demolition process. Tower in China. When authorities planned to demolish this structure in Luzhou, China, to make way for residential buildings, they decided to divide the building into two parts that were supposed to fall separately. The first part of the explosion went smoothly, but the second part did not. The remaining part of the building was later carefully dismantled using cranes and construction machinery. Martin Tower. Martin Tower, constructed in 1972, was decided to be demolished in 2020. Thousands of spectators wanted to witness this event. The 21-story cross-shaped building collapsed on May 19, 2019. As it crumbled into debris, 5,000 cubic meters of concrete and approximately 16,000 tons of metal structures turned into dust. The explosion was accompanied by a thunderous roar resembling a thunderstorm. People continued to visit the site throughout the day after the building became a memory. Vendors sold T-shirts with the inscription, "I saw it fall," and local bars offered drinks named Martin Tower Bombs. Group of buildings. In China, a group of unfinished multi-story buildings stood in that state for 7 years. It took only 45 seconds to level them to the ground. In an exciting video that went viral, we can see 14 buildings in Kunming collapsing after the explosives detonated. However, the 15th building remained standing and was demolished a few days later, as reported by the local media. This unfinished project was a byproduct of China's aggressive urban development, which, according to critics, led to the emergence of ghost towns in the country's central regions. The local government sold land and launched large-scale infrastructure projects to boost economic growth. Developers, burdened with debt, struggled to keep up with the continuously rising housing prices. Construction of the Sunlight City complex began in Kunming in 2011. The original developer ran out of funds, and another company took over the project. Work stopped in 2013, leaving the high-rises unfinished. In 2020, a new company acquired the residential complex along with a debt of $3.6 million. After realizing the grave construction mistakes made during the project, the company decided to demolish the unfinished buildings and replace them with new, shorter homes. It took 4.6 metric tons of explosives, placed in 85 locations, to bring down the structures. Over 5,300 residents were evacuated during the demolition, and each family received compensation of $23. Many local residents, including children, watched the explosion unfold, and the surroundings were enveloped in dust. Noida Towers. India's tallest building, Noida Towers, was demolished following a court order. 2 towers were brought down due to serious violations of the building code. According to the court, the Noida authorities and Supertech collaborated to construct the buildings with multiple violations. As a result, the companies were ordered to demolish the structure at their own expense. The twin towers stood at a height of 100 meters, comprising 40 floors. They were constructed in a densely populated area of Noida City. Approximately 3,700 kilograms of dynamite was used during the explosion. The building collapsed on its own, making it a challenging operation that required the expertise of highly skilled specialists, including engineers from 3 countries. One participant even described the demolition as an engineering feat. After the explosion, 80,000 tons of debris remained. 30 tons of rubble and 3,000 tons of steel and iron were removed, while the remaining waste was left on the ground. Ocean Tower. Ocean Tower, an unfinished 31-story residential building in Texas, was deemed unsafe with the risk of collapse, leading to its demolition. Originally envisioned as a luxurious 31-story high-rise comprising 147 apartments, a gym, a swimming pool, a spa, and a media room, the building also housed a large parking garage at its base. If completed, its height would have been 445 meters. Construction ceased in May 2009 when cracks formed in the building's support columns. An investigation revealed that the center of the building had sunk more than 35 centimeters. Although the developer initially promised to address the issue, it became apparent that the repairs would be prohibitively expensive. Therefore, in 2010, authorities announced their intention to demolish the building. At the time of demolition, the building weighed 50,000 tons and stood as the tallest reinforced concrete structure ever demolished. Adov Canyon Bridge. The bridge, constructed 62 years ago, was demolished because it no longer met national standards, and a new structure was built in its place. The explosion shattered the corroded beams of the bridge, causing it to fall into the canyon floor. Friends, don't hesitate to write comments under the video about what else you would like to learn. I will definitely fulfill your wish. Bye for now.